afternoon, and welcome back to Intermission. I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who has let me color on them throughout my career so far. Today I want to do something a little different. As you guys have all known or heard me say, if you've watched any of these videos, that I'm looking for collections, not just skateboard collections. So I'm going to start things off with my tattoo machine collection. Probably going to end up doing one with my comic books coming up soon too, which I don't have many of, but that's a little precursor to. I got a buddy of mine who has like the proper comic book collection, and we'll hopefully be getting into that room soon, and we'll have if not a few, one proper video of his collection. But anyway, back to this stuff. I've been tattooing since 2003. It's been a lot of fun. I've gone over a lot of different equipment over the years. I definitely have some of my favorites. I definitely have some that I've just kept just because it's something that I've used back in the day, and it's, I don't want to say sentimental. It was just me being a hoarder, I guess, and not getting rid of them. But that being said, I have been through so many different machines throughout the years, and some I wish to this day I'm like, fuck, why did I get rid of that? There were definitely some proper things. So we'll start off with a couple of the coils, and we'll get into some of the power supplies, and then the rotaries and the stuff in between and whatnot. But I'll start things off with something that I've kept for a couple years. I don't even remember when I got this. I probably got this still when I was using coils on a regular basis. So like 2000, I think I got my first rotary machine, which was a Stylist. Was probably in like 2000 and I don't know. We'll say 13 or 14. But anyway, back to this. It's just a hand poke, and it's just a simple brass little bullet-looking tube. Which it's not a bullet. It's just a piece of brass that someone shaped, and then popped a hole in there. Put a little wing nut on the side. Cool ass little Indian head. I'll click up a picture of this. But you just put the needle grouping in there, give that wing nut a proper crank, and just hammer on your homies. It was super fun. I've only used it a handful of times. It's so much easier just grabbing a machine even if you're hand poking, just throw a needle on a machine and hammer at it. But back to the good stuff. So this was one of my first machines. This was my very first tattoo machine. It was given to me by an older tattooer who actually gave me my first tattoo. The story goes that he was brought up to the tattooer, who was Tony the Pirate, and he purchased this machine. And then many years later, when I started tattooing, he had given it to me under the guise of, you're going to take this machine home today, you're going to plug it in, you're going to hear how it sounds, and then you're going to take it apart, and then you're going to make it run better tomorrow, right? Just keep taking it apart, keep putting it back together until it's perfect. Well, I'm never going to say that it's perfect, because that was half the fun of these coils is, 15-20 minutes before your appointment, setting it up and tuning it just right, and all the, getting all the jitters out of it, if you will. So I've had, like I said, I've probably had this since 2002, and I still could plug this up and fire it up. God, I think I've done everything with it. Lined with it, black and gray with it, color packed with it. Just a great machine all around. I would still pick that up and run it. It's super fun, super light. All the goods in it. I've replaced everything. Nothing on here is original, other than like this terrible clamp vice little C piece of metal. Did the engraving and all of it. It's just, I got my hands on some better parts, and it was running slappy and clacky, and time to go. Moving on now. Fast forward a few years after I got that, and Workhorse Irons, which was a proper company to get all your good supplies from, they had these little kits that were build it yourself, under the guise of that you were going to call them and ask them for help on how to do it. They gave you all the parts and you just had to throw them together. Super cool idea. This one was stamped 2015. I think this one was a couple years later I got it, but they were right-handed kits. And I had called them up and asked them if they would switch them to left-handed kits, and they were very, very gracious in the fact that they did that. Not that it's a big thing, but there's right-handed frames and left-handed frames. There's no difference in them other than which side the frame is on. They don't tattoo differently, they don't feel differently, other than you have to figure out, getting that vice out of your way sometimes. But super fun. I'm very grateful that they did that for me. Then after I started tinkering and putting machines together and rebuilding them, I started cutting up pieces of brass and actually making kind of, chopped up frames. I've sold these to a few people, to a few homies. I worked in a few shops that there was nothing but my machines being run. And I mean my machines as I put them together. I've never actually got to sit down from raw material and fire it all up together. Everything I've ever put together was I had a piece of brass, I carved out the frame, and then I got other parts like the guts and I just kind of slapped them together. There was always some kind of shading and tuning and trimming I had to do, but it was just really fun to tinker with it. This is the only complete machine I still have that I built. The guts in this were actually from a Keith B machine that I had gotten off of him, and then I had sent back to him. He replaced all the guts, and I asked him to give me back the guts so I could make a frame for it, and that's what happened with that. Getting into the really good stuff now. There's a tattooer by the name of Aaron Kane. He doesn't tattoo much anymore, probably not. He just makes machines. And these are some of the gems of the collection here. Again, a left-handed. I remember as this machine was being built, having a feeling of Christmas getting closer and closer every day. Each piece was getting fit to the next. Everything was lining up perfectly, and it was actually a dream come true to be able to call him up and say that that machine was going to be mine. Then I have these two. They're not matching sets, but they kind of do look the same. Again, Canes. These right here are some of the lighter frames I've ever gotten, just because he knows how to mech them out and to carve them out to where they're still structurally strong, but they're light and they're gorgeous. They're all little pieces of art. There were plenty of production machines through Workhorse, and Lucky Supply had some. But if you get the gems from him, man, they're made with love. Each piece is handcrafted from the start, to the very end. I've run this thing plenty of times. I have a couple of them that This I probably got in, I don't know, I'll say 2015 or 16-ish, but this is from 2003. I sought this machine because that's the year that I started tattooing professionally. And it's just a girl's face. This is a collab with somebody. I forget Timothy, maybe. I'm sorry, I forget the collab, but it was an Aaron Kane machine, And at the time, he was just pushing the envelope with as far as making frames not just your simple, you know, old school, boom, boom. You know, he had some art to him, and they're still beautiful. He's gotten off he's got some rad skulls and like some like Egyptian beetles, and like it's just amazing what he does. And not only are they pieces of artwork, but you can in turn make artwork with them. They're beautiful tools. If you're into tattooing and you tattoo, if you don't have any of these, I don't even know if you really know what you're doing, you know, because these are amazing. And it's history, man. Like, that's the thing. And I apologize. There is no reason for this rant or for you to hear me talking nonsense. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the video. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. Back to the machines. So I wanted to get into, before we get into the professional rotary machines, I wanted to get into some of the I don't want to say knockoff, but different rotary machines. Easier made rotary machines. I had this funny ass Christmas present a homie of mine had made, or had gotten for me, that another tattooer had made, and it's supposed to be a joke. Along with this silly photo, join us on the next episode of part 2 of Tattoo Machines. I hit that fucking hole I was talking about.
Shit, man, you alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm just fucking
Holy
embarrassed.
fuck.